Welcome back to Ron's Radio Corner. So, as I just mentioned in another video, doing a little bit of a band scan tonight. Just wanting to see what I could pull in. So I grabbed the Wenpzeray Y-706 and I started going up and down the dial, FM, AM, and shortwave. I then grabbed the XHDATA D-219. It's that guy right there. And then after I ran through AM, FM, and shortwave on that, I decided I would grab the Kaito KA500. I do have one other radio that does AM, FM, and shortwave, but I decided to limit it to these three. And so, just to kind of give you an idea, I'm not going to sit here and do a big long video where I go up and down the dial so everybody can hear, but here's what I found. I'm doing this fairly late at night, somewhere. It's currently 11:36 p.m. Eastern. Probably been playing around with these for about a half an hour, so I figure I started somewhere around 11 o'clock, maybe just a bit before. And what I found is on the Wenpzeray Y-706, that on the FM dial, I was able to pull in 22 channels. Most of those came in good and strong. There were a couple that came in a little on the weak side, but I thought I could hear them and make out what was going on, so I included them. Like I said, and I got 22 different channels. I then went and grabbed the XHDATA and gave that, same thing, a scan through those FM channels, listening to see how many I could pull in clearly. I can tell you that the sound on the D219 just sounded better, a little warmer. Tuning it feels more precise. These are both radios that sell for about $10, and yet, the XHDATA just feels like a nicer radio. I do like the Wenpzeray Y-706. I like the style of it. I think it's kind of a fun radio, but there's no doubt the XHDATA D219 just feels like a better radio. And when it came to tuning FM channels, it severely overperformed or outclassed the Wenpzeray Y-706, where this guy here gave me 22 channels. I pulled in 40 FM channels with the D219. So I then moved over to the KA500, the Kaito Voyager KA500, and again, with all these radios, I raised the mast up for FM and shortwave, but I ran through the FM band with the KA500, and I pulled it in 49 different channels. Again, most of them clear, strong. A few were a little on the weak side, but I could make out what was being said, so I included them. But amazingly, 49 channels. Now, it is a bigger radio than the other two. Antenna like that, I have to measure it, but the D219's got a really good size antenna for a small radio. Now, I moved to AM, and this was a little interesting. It was a little more, a closer race, I guess is the way to say it. So going through the AM dial on a Wenpzeray Y-706, I was able to pull in 20 channels. I would say compared to FM, there are more out of those 20 that are sort of weaker signals. I could kind of pull them in, make out what was being said, but they weren't really nice, crystal clear. Not saying the majority were that way, but there were certainly more weaker stations I included in that count of 20. Now, on the XHDATA, I went through the AM dial there, and I was able to pull in 21 AM channels, so only one more. And again, certainly, well, I mean, heck, the XHDATA pulled in 40 on the FM dial and only 21 on the AM dial. So, certainly more of what got pulled in was a bit weaker than, the number of weaker channels I included in the tally for FM, but most of the AM channels came in, reasonably strong. The Kaito Voyager, I was able to pull in 30 AM channels, most with good, clear sound. Now, I have to imagine the AM antenna on the KA500 is just much bigger than what the Y-706 or the D-219 have. So moving to shortwave, ran through the shortwave dial on the Wenpzeray Y-706. I pulled in 8 channels. I think there's more out there. There's a lot of channels. I know something was there. I just couldn't quite pull it in. So I didn't include it, and I got 8. I went through the dial. Now there's 9 settings for shortwave. I went through each of those settings and came up with 22 different channels I was pulling in. Some of these channels, just like on the Wenpzeray, were not necessarily nice, clear, strong channels. Some of them were simply, I guess, beacon markers, or not really something broadcast, just some noise on the channel. But it pulled in 22, and of course, I wasn't too surprised that at this point the XHDATA is really pulling in a lot more channels than the Wenpzeray Y-706. Again, 22 on the FM dial versus 40 on the AM dial, 21 for AM, 20 for AM, that pulled in 21. Shortwave, though, big difference. This pulled in 8. This pulled in 8. That one pulls in 22. What I was a little surprised by is I didn't really expect the Voyager to perform much better than the Y-706, but I actually pulled in 17 different shortwave channels with the KA500, which I thought was pretty impressive. So that's it. If you watch these videos, probably in the order that I'll end up putting them up, you'll know that I got a little fixated on an AM channel that the Y-706 picked up that I didn't pick up with the D-219. I don't know if I picked it up with the Voyager either. But overall, I guess bang for the buck. It's really hard to argue with the D-219. 40 on the FM dial, 21 on the AM dial, and 22 is shortwave. For a $10 radio, that's really impressive. It definitely does a better job at pulling in channels than the Wenpzeray Y-706. But as I mentioned on the video I did on the Y-706, it also includes Bluetooth and the ability to play MP3s and TF cards. So when you factor that into the price, it's like, wow, this gives me some flexibility that the XHDATA doesn't. And and boy, I wish that one of them included a weather band. The XHDATA, I really wish the US version of this got rid of the FM2 band and put a weather band there. The Voyager, of course, does include a weather band, and I didn't bother comparing that to the other one since they don't have it. But of course, it also costs a heck of a lot more than the first two. So that's it. Quick band scan between 3 radios that I own that are AM/FM shortwave. I think the real surprise here isn't how well the D-219 performed. I think I was really most surprised with just how well the KA500 performed. Pulling in a whopping 49 different FM channels, 30 AM, and 17 on the shortwave dial. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and until the next time.